Hey there, welcome fam! How's everyone doing around the world? If this is your first time here, we're honored to have you as part of the crew. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. The Houthis tried to hit a U.S. aircraft carrier. Oops, wrong ship. They thought they could mess with a floating fortress. Big mistake. On April 1, 2025, the U.S. Navy's nuclear-powered aircraft carrier Harry S. Truman, a 100,000-ton beast, was cruising through the Red Sea, leading a group of ships near the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. Clear skies, calm seas, and then all hell broke loose.
Suddenly alarms blared. Radar techs caught flashes zipping toward the carrier. Armed drones launched by the Houthis from deep inside Yemen. This wasn't their first rodeo, but this time they were going all in. Over 2 days, April 1st and 2nd, they launched multiple drones. They weren't just going after some random destroyer or cargo ship this time. They were gunning for the big fish.
But here's the thing. Trying to hit a U.S. aircraft carrier with cheap, modified commercial drones is like chucking a rock at a tank. Sure, you might scratch the paint, but good luck getting through that armor. The Navy wasn't caught slipping. Defensive systems kicked in full throttle, sailors rushed to their battle stations, and what happened next sent a loud and clear message, not just to the Houthis, but to anyone thinking about testing U.S. steel in the Red Sea.
So what has happened when some rebel group backed by Iran tries to target a massive U.S. aircraft carrier with drones? Let's just say things got real loud real fast.
Flashback to the moment the alarms went off. Truman was operating in the southern Red Sea as part of Task Force 153, a multinational security squad patrolling one of the sketchiest shipping routes on Earth. Houthi drone and missile attacks have been ramping up for months, especially after the U.S. started hitting launch sites in Yemen harder. But this was bold. The rebels were taking a shot at the crown jewel of U.S. naval power.
It all started on the night of April 1st. 2 Iranian-designed drones, probably Samad-3S long-range kamikaze drones, popped up on radar, entering the strike group's defense zone. Combat Information Center lit up like Times Square. The Aegis radar on a nearby Arleigh Burke-class destroyer locked them in. Orders flew across the ship. Sailors snapped into action, boots slammed against steel decks, and the air filled with the unmistakable sound of battle stations locking down.
One drone veered off and crashed before it got into weapon range, likely jammed or spoofed by electronic warfare from one of the escort cruisers. But the second drone, it kept coming, flying just high enough to stay above the radar chaos. That's when Truman's crew got the call to light it up.
Enter CIWS, aka CIWS, the ship's last line of defense. It's basically a radar-guided, 6-barreled Gatling gun that spits out 4,500 rounds a minute. That's 75 rounds per second. The crew calls it R2D2 with an attitude.
The night sky lit up like the 4th of July. A wall of lead tore through the air. Moments later, the drone exploded mid-air, raining burning wreckage into the sea. No damage, no casualties.
Next day, April 2nd, the Houthis doubled down. This time, intel picked up at least 4 drones launched in sequence. The carrier group was ready.
First contact was made 80 nautical miles out. The destroyers USS Gravely and USS Mason, standing guard, fired off Standard Missile 2s, SM-2S, the Navy's long-range air defense workhorses. 2 drones got smoked at high altitude. The third got way too close, slipping past initial defenses and making it within 12 miles of Truman, skimming the waves.
But it didn't make it far. A rolling sea of 20mm shells from a second CIWS tore it to shreds instantly. The 4th drone never even made it out of Yemeni airspace. An EA-18G Growler electronic warfare jet launched off Truman's deck jammed its comms, sending it into a death spiral. No US ships were hit. Nobody got hurt. Just some charred drone parts bobbing in the water like trash in the tide.
Message received, try that again, and you'll get lit up all over again. The crazy part? This is just the new normal. Since late 2023, the Houthis turned the Red Sea into their personal shooting gallery, targeting everything from oil tankers to warships. But going after a U.S. supercarrier, that's a whole new level of nuts. And yet here we are, talking about it. Because the Truman Strike Group handled their business like clockwork. Tight coordination, layered defense, pure discipline under pressure.
Quick question. What would you do if you were an aircraft carrier? So picture this. You're the commander. In that moment, do you hold your fire and wait? Or do you light up the sky the second those drones breach the defense zone? Drop your take in the comments below.
Because here's the deal, this ship isn't just some chunk of floating metal, it's a floating beast with teeth.
You don't just throw drones at a mobile airbase and hope for the best. The USS Harry S. Truman isn't your run-of-the-mill warship. It's a 100,000-ton, nuclear-powered monster, longer than 3 football fields. It can launch a fully loaded fighter jet every 25 seconds. This ain't a ship. It's a war machine disguised as a floating city.
And after the drone attacks on April 1st and 2nd, it became painfully clear why going after this thing was one of the dumbest moves anyone could make. Truman's part of the legendary Nimitz-class supercarriers, built to project power across the globe.
On board, over 5,000 sailors and aircrew, 90-plus aircraft, and enough firepower to take a chunk out of the grid. It's defenses, not just for show. You've got layers, starting with the outer shield, cruisers and destroyers packing Aegis radar systems and SM-series missiles that can swat threats out of the sky before they even get close.
Then you've got the inner defense ring, short-range interceptors like the evolved Sea Sparrow missile, ESSM, and of course, the infamous CIWS, close-in weapon system. Those bad boys are so fast and accurate, they can lock onto and vaporize a football-sized target flying hundreds of miles an hour, faster than you can blink.
On top of that, the ship rolls out advanced electronic warfare tools. It's not just about blowing stuff up, it's about making sure the enemy can't even see you. Drones lose comms, GPS signals get spoofed, radar coatings, decoys, jammers, all part of the toolkit.
But Truman's real superweapon? Coordination. Every crew member, from the radar techs deep inside CIC, Combat Information Center, to the yellow shirts directing jets on deck, knows their job down to the second. Every move matters. And in combat, seconds are everything.
Want to know what it's like when this ship goes to battle stations? Imagine this. The lights switch to red. Boots thunder down the galley halls. Every screen in the command center lights up like a Christmas tree. Pilots sprint towards their jets. The weapons crew loads up. Damage control squads gear up. And the flight deck, it turns into a chaotic, perfectly timed ballet.
The captain stays cool, barking out orders while a billion-dollar target floats quietly in disputed waters. But this ship ain't hiding. It's daring you to try again. During the April drone attacks, not one system failed. Not one sailor froze. That's the Truman Edge, combat discipline backed by tech that feels like sci-fi.
And make no mistake, those April 1st and 2nd strikes weren't random. The drones came in waves, spaced out to test radar windows and response times. Some flew high, some hugged the sea, some were slow. This wasn't high-tech warfare, it was guerrilla tactics in the sky.
So where do they even get this stuff? Mostly Iran. The Houthis have been getting parts and know-how for years, enough to build drones like the Samad 3 and Qasef-1. Samads can fly over 1,000 miles, carry small warheads and are GPS guided. Not surgical, but good enough to cause chaos, especially when launched in swarms.
The CASF. Think of it like a cheap, disposable flying bomb built for one thing, impact. They know they can't match US firepower, so they try to be unpredictable instead. But guess what? Let's walk you through how the Truman made sure those drones didn't stand a chance.
The Houthis launched cheap, slow, desperate threats. But what they didn't expect was what happens when one of those drones gets too close. See, Truman might look like a floating airport, but it's built like a fortress. And it doesn't play nice on defense.
The second the first drone was detected on April 1st, Truman's Combat Information Center, or CIC, kicked into overdrive. CIC's the nerve center of the carrier. No windows, no noise. Just radar screens, threat detectors, radio chatter, and sailors trained to handle skies full of bad decisions.
The radar lock came from the destroyer USS Mason, guarding the starboard side of the carrier. As soon as the drone popped up on the Spy-1 radar, part of the Aegis system, it took just seconds to ID it. Not friendly, not commercial, definitely not one of ours. From there, things escalated. Fast.
Combat alert protocol kicked in. Weapons were cleared. Mason fired first. An SM-2 missile launched with a thundercrack, echoing across the sea. That thing's built to take out aircraft and cruise missiles from miles away. It nailed the drone 60 nautical miles out, turned it into scrap metal.
But the Houthis weren't done. A second drone came in low, flying under radar sweeps, trying to sneak past the carrier's scanning zones. This time the Navy didn't just see it coming, they lit it up. The Phalanx CIWS, aka CIWS, came alive. Now, if you've never seen what happens when the Navy straps a radar-guided Gatling gun to a spinning turret and lets it think for itself, buckle up.
This 6-barreled monster tracks and fires automatically, no human needed. It spits 20mm tungsten rounds at 4,500 rounds per minute. That's 75 bullets a second, literal wall of lead. And once it locked onto that drone, no warning. Just a high-pitched whine, a growl of gunfire, then silence. Drone, gone. Not disabled, erased. All that was left was shredded metal raining into the sea.
April 2nd, things got hotter. This time, 4 drones came in from different directions, trying to overload the defense net. But Truman didn't come alone. She had company. The USS Mason fired 2 more SM-2 missiles, clean shots. Meanwhile, one of Truman's air wing birds used electronic warfare to jam a drone mid-flight. It lost signal, spun out, and crashed straight into the sea.
The last drone of the bunch? The fastest. It got dangerously close, just 15 miles out. But once again, the carrier's inner shield held. ESSM launchers, that's the evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, jumped into action. Interceptor missiles made for exactly this kind of moment, where every second counts. It took less than 2 seconds from detection to launch. Missile locked, hit confirmed, boom, drone neutralized.
And get this, not a single sailor panicked, not a single step missed. There's a reason the Navy drills this stuff every single day. Response timers, layered defense strategy, muscle memory, it's not just reactions anymore. It's execution.
While all that was going down, Truman's air wings stayed locked and loaded. 18 Super Hornets, fueled, armed, and ready to fly. Jammers were active, bombs stayed hot. Hawkeyes scanned the sky from 25,000 feet, building a complete engagement picture from above. And if anything really went sideways, fire teams were already geared up. Damage control crews stood ready by medical stations below deck.
When you're floating in enemy waters, repetition isn't a luxury, it's survival. These systems didn't just work, they dominated. Every drone was intercepted before it got within strike range. No emergency alerts, no damage reports, no casualties. Just twisted wreckage in the waves, and a very loud message to whoever was watching. If you're coming for a US carrier, you better bring more than some dollar store drones.
Let's not forget the mental game. Truman didn't just defend, it humiliated its attackers. Every intercepted drone, a silent failure broadcast straight back to the launch site. Every missile fired, a reminder. US carriers don't just float, they fight, and they fight hard. If you're leading the Houthi drone ops, do you try again? Or do you chalk that up as a death wish? Drop your plan in the comments. We want to hear your playbook. Now let's talk about what the US did after the smoke cleared. Because the Navy doesn't just sit back on defense.
If you thought the US was just going to swat drones and sail away like nothing happened, think again. After those April 1st and 2nd attacks, gloves came off. Within hours of the last drone going poof, airstrike orders were drafted.
Intel from satellites and drone surveillance pinpointed launch sites scattered across western Yemen, some hidden in remote desert valleys, others tucked into coastal ridgelines. These weren't just pop-up pads, these were fortified, camouflaged, and in some cases built dangerously close to civilian infrastructure.
But here's what the Houthis didn't count on. Harry S. Truman isn't just a floating airstrip, it's a damn offensive juggernaut. And now, it wasn't waiting to get hit again, it was hitting first.
0400 hours, April 3rd. The call went out. Launch Bravo package, targets locked. 12 FA-18 Super Hornets lined up on the flight deck. Engines roared. Wings were stacked with jam precision bombs and AGM-88 HARM missiles. It was still dark, but the afterburners lit up the Truman like a second sunrise.
And this wasn't a blind strike either. E-2D Hawkeyes and MQ-9 Reapers were up providing real-time intel and surveillance. The Navy didn't want war, but if it came to it, they were going to end it quick.
Meanwhile, U.S. destroyers in the Gulf of Aden launched Tomahawk cruise missiles from vertical launch cells. The missiles flew hundreds of miles, straight into radar installations and command centers coordinating the drone strikes. This wasn't a firefight. This was a message carved into Yemeni soil.
The Pentagon released a short but crystal clear statement. The United States will respond decisively to any attacks on our forces. We do not seek conflict, but we will eliminate threats before they ignite.
Our ships had arrived, but this wasn't just some knee-jerk US reaction. The USS Harry S. Truman wasn't rolling solo. This was a coalition op. The French Navy's frigate Alsace and a British Royal Navy destroyer were both on high alert, locked in and synced up. They fed sensor data into the system, patrolled the airspace nearby, and coordinated seamlessly with US Navy assets.
Think about that for a second. A real-time multinational naval alliance coordinating drone defense and counterstrikes, all from international waters. That's not just presence, that's power projection.
Back on the Truman, the vibe was razor sharp. No victory laps, no fist pumps. Just professionalism. Pilots landed, got debriefed, and headed to rearm. Flight deck crews cleaned up, reset the catapults, and updated threat maps. No downtime. Because when you're parked in hostile waters, the next strike is never out of the question.
But let's be real. This wasn't just about protecting the Truman. These waters are full of global shipping lanes, freighters, tankers, food, fuel, billions in trade moving through the Red Sea every week. If the Houthis managed to turn that into a no-go zone, the economic shockwaves would hit everyone. That's why the Navy hit back hard, because letting one drone slip through today means you're facing 10 more tomorrow.
So yeah, let's zoom out. What does this all mean for global security?
What happens if the next drone actually breaks through? These were missiles and dogfights on deck, but the tension's still sky high. Even after the US answered back on April 3rd, it's not like the Red Sea magically chilled out.
If anything, it's more like a geopolitical powder keg now. Because when you target a massive aircraft carrier and drones start falling out of the sky like flies, the message isn't just for the attackers. It echoes across the world.
And just to be clear, this wasn't a one-off attack. The Houthis have been stepping it up, going after everything from Saudi oil infrastructure to commercial tankers in the Bab al-Mandab Strait. But going after Harry S. Truman, that cranked the stakes way up. It sent a crystal clear message: no ship is off limits anymore, no matter how big or well guarded.
And let's be honest, it's not over. The Red Sea's still hot. The next drone wave could be faster, smarter, deadlier. The battlefield is evolving, and the Navy knows it.
But here's the thing. So far, the defenders aren't just keeping up. They're winning, one engagement at a time.
So what do you think? Are we just counting down the days till this sparks into a full-blown Red Sea conflict? Or is deterrence enough to keep things from boiling over? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. If you like this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive military analysis, and smash that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and remember, never bet against a US aircraft carrier.